I need to get this off my chest because I can't say it out loud without sounding like an actual villain. I think I'm self-sabotaging my relationship intentionally. My partner is genuinely good to me, yet I keep catching myself doing things that push them away, almost like I'm testing how far I can go before they finally snap. I pick fights over stupid things. I go cold for no reason. I flirt back when people give me attention, even though I know I shouldn't. It's like I want proof that they'll stay even when I'm being difficult, or imagining imaginary scenarios where they did something wrong so I can justify being distant. And the worst part? When they actually try to talk to me about it, I suddenly act like I'm the victim. I don't know if it's fear of being abandoned, fear of being too vulnerable, or just some twisted addiction to drama. All I know is that I'm becoming the toxic one in the relationship, not them. And I'm scared that by the time I get myself together, the person who actually cared about me might finally get tired and walk away. And if they do, I can't even blame them. Here's my take on this. The thing that makes this different from a standard I'm toxic confession is that this person can see exactly what they're doing and describe it in detail. They even know it's going to cost them a relationship eventually, yet none of that changes their behavior. Here's what could be going on behind this. When someone grows up in an environment where the people they depended on were inconsistent, sometimes available, sometimes not, but there was no way to predict which one was coming, the nervous system builds a strategy around that inconsistency. In a way, it learns that being close can be unreliable. So it finds a way to manage that sense of uncertainty, whether that's testing a bond, creating conflict, or withdrawing a little bit to see what happens. If the other person stays, that can act as a temporary signal that the connection is still safe. The reason why self-awareness hasn't changed anything is because the behavior isn't coming from a decision-making process. It's coming from an attachment system, which runs through the amygdala, your brain's threat detector, and your autonomic nervous system, much faster than the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for reasoning and reflection. The cortex can observe the pattern and describe it, but by the time it notices what's happening, the impulse already took over and the damage is done. The awareness of it, unfortunately, comes after the fact. That's why this person can write this entire post and still do this again tomorrow. If you struggle with this, here's something that can be done in this scenario with a little bit of context. Self-awareness gives you descriptions of patterns, but not necessarily control over it. Knowing you self-sabotage and being able to stop it in real time are completely different worlds, and treating them as the same is the exact reason why a lot of people stay locked in their patterns. The gap between impulse and behavior is where intervention will be. So the work is to widen that gap, even if it's just a little bit. Recognizing the pattern is the starting line. So here's what actually helps. The next time you feel the urge to pick a fight or act cold or say something that you know is going to create distance, name it before you act on it. Out loud if you can. Something as simple as, I'm about to test this person right now. What this does is activate the prefrontal cortex at the same time the amygdala is firing. Decision making, threat detection. And when this happens at the same time, you get something that you didn't have before. A moment where you can see the impulse and decide whether to follow it. You won't catch it every time, especially when you first start this, but over time, the gap between your impulse and the behavior actually happening begins to widen. And in that gap, your relationship has a chance to be experienced as it actually is without being constantly tested. If you're on the other side of this, the person that's being tested, this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it might explain it. The person doing this isn't choosing to be cruel most of the time. I don't know them personally, I'm just observing this. But think of it like they're running a security protocol for a situation that no longer exists. That doesn't mean you have to tolerate it, but knowing what might cause it can give you a clear picture of what they're dealing with. So any decision you make about the relationship comes from understanding rather than confusion. Drink water.